Broadway news that you want to know on the Salisha Show. Starring you and your favorite roles on the Salisha Show. Staying true, going with the flow on the Salisha Show. So come on through, everybody glows on the Salisha Show.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Salisha Show. I am so excited, you guys. I am in a whole new journey. We usually record in New York City. Right now I'm doing my first virtual interview postpartum from California, and I'm so excited to meet with my guest today. I just have gotten to meet her for the first time, and her spirit is grounding. Her aura is calming. She is beautiful. She's on the outside, she's stunning. I can only imagine, because I've not gotten to see her perform on stage, but we're going to get into it. You might have seen her in Jaja's on Broadway. Oh my goodness, I love Jocelyn Beals, Jaja's African hair braiding, or maybe for colored girls. She's done a lot of TV and film, but right now she is currently starring as Hermione Granger in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child on Broadway, y'all. She's bringing depth, magic, and presence to every moment she steps into. She's a stunning Black woman who is boldly walking into her calling, and a reminder that stories belong in every room, including the most magical ones. Y'all, please put your hands together and help me welcome Rachel Christopher.
Oh my God, that was, I think, maybe the most warm and beautiful welcome I've ever had in my life. Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness, I'm so happy to meet you. And if we have any technical difficulties, I can pause it or anything, because you're paused on my end, but I'm like, as long as we can hear each other, it should be okay in post.
I can hear you great.
Okay, so let's see, where do we even start? First of all, are you currently in shows right now for Cursed Child?
Am I currently what now?
In shows.
Yes, I am currently in shows. I am entering my second year in this incredible contract. We just went through a process of inviting new people into the show. Actually quite a lot of people from last year stayed, which is amazing, because it feels like we get to continue to investigate and also enjoy this amazing show that we've built together. And then we've also invited some folks who've joined from the Cursed Child tour that's been going around the country. They've shuffled and joined our Broadway company. And of course, we've welcomed Tom Felton into the room as well, who originated the role of Draco Malfoy in all of the movies, and who is
cool.
Yeah, he's reprising the role of Draco now on Broadway, which is such a kind of stunning event theatrically and just socially to kind of be making a new part of the Wizarding world with somebody who was an integral part to the original one. So it's just it's a very live time at Hogwarts, and I'm just so excited and thrilled and grateful and overjoyed to be a part of it, really.
Congratulations to you. This is a big deal for many reasons. Yes, you're like filling it as a principal contract on a Broadway show, but like, you guys are like in year 7, like the show is.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, first off, to be in a long-running show on Broadway is a gift of just immeasurable bounty. Like it is so nice to be an artist in New York City and have the opportunity to practice every day. And that's something that I think all of us sort of like work our whole lives for. It's like, when can I just go every day, know that I'm going to be in a play at the end of the night, and focus on that? And that's something that I get to welcome into my life right now. And the words of gratitude are all in all caps and italicized. Like, that is the only way to talk about that. And like also what I will say about the Cursed Child in particular is that it has many things going for it. It is part of a huge beloved epic world of storytelling. It is a play that involves a lot of special effects and magic that people have never seen before. It is a very large company, and it is also a play. It is a play on Broadway that has exceptional original music and movement, but at its center, the mode of storytelling is speaking and sharing language with each other. And I love music. I love music, but there are many musicals on Broadway, and I think we are one of the longest running plays, which is just
Yeah.
not to be like I sort of want to be like the cheerleader of that, to recognize that there is a play on Broadway that has been running for years, that employs all of these incredible actors, a multi-generational talents, that has been running for years in New York City. And that is, I get chills talking about it, because it's the type of theater that I've wanted to make my whole life, and I get to make it in such an extraordinary way.
I mean, honestly, like, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've not gotten to witness your performance yet, but I
Come
saw
through,
Kristen.
come by.
I want to. I want to. I saw it
It
years
is
ago.
fun
I'm
at
not a play
Hogwarts.
girl.
Mhm.
I
Oh,
like
say more things.
musicals.
Yeah,
And
say more things. Mhm.
Cursed Child is so good. Like, I also didn't come from the Harry Potter world. I didn't read the books
Yeah,
growing up. My mom was like, "That's the
yeah.
devil," and I will say it is so good. I was like, "Do I need to buy a cape for part 2?" And it's
Yes.
since gone from 2 parts to
Yes.
1 part, right?
Yes. So when it was a two-part gorgeous extravaganza of theater and magic, that was its original form. And I think now most of your favorite characters and most of your favorite moments in the play, for the most part, are maintained. But there has been some winnowing, just to I think allow for a little bit more accessibility for folks to actually be able to see an entire story in one night, and not necessarily have to commit to 2 nights of theater, which
Yeah.
might be difficult if you're a if you have multiple children, or you're just visiting and from the city. There are multiple obstacles to that, to being able to come to the theater twice in a given day, much less a given week. And so I think the now that it's one part, we really sort of start the show off with a bang, and that bang does not really settle until the end of the show. And it's a really thrilling piece of theater making. And I also think we're quite lucky, because, as you say, there are many folks in New York, artists and tourists and just theater goers alike, who are so familiar with musicals inside of a theater space. That's where they go to really
Yeah.
feel connected to the art form. And I have to say that at Harry Potter, there are many people for whom we're their first play that they've seen, and many were their first Broadway show that they've seen. And it's really a quite extraordinary thing to be somebody's first, in a story that has such wide reach, and means so much to so many people, but also is their first sort of like foray into this particular type of art making. And they usually leave with this extraordinary feeling that, oh, I didn't know plays could do that. And that's
Right.
quite, to be in the room while that's happening is really special.
Can you talk to me a little bit about um and hold on here, because there's a question in my heart, and I'm seeing it in a picture right now, but I
Yeah.
know on Broadway, Hermione has always been a Black woman for the most
Yes,
part,
she has.
but not
Yeah.
in the movies, right?
Not in the movies. In the movies, it was portrayed by Emma Watson, and the original Hermione on Broadway was Noma Dumaswini, who's this incredible British actress, South African and British actress.
So my question for you is, like, how does it feel stepping into a role that was originally meant for a white person, but really just like it take just tell me about your experience in that, and if you've encountered that in other shows, if this is your first time stepping into something like that.
I mean, it's my first time stepping into something like that at this scale, I would say. Harry Potter is a huge world. It's a world that involves books, movies, aesthetic. Like it's just, and people have so many ideas about what it is and what it is not. And so I would say this is the sort of largest task I've taken on in terms of figuring out how to enter into a role that very visually is presented as somebody that looks nothing like me. Now, I have to say, when I was reading the books, I just I think I guess we all read differently, but Hermione was such a strong she was my favorite character in the book, and I think a lot of women and girls reading the book, Hermione was one of that was their favorite character. And oftentimes when I am relating to a character in that way, I often imagine somebody like me. And so when I saw the casting for this play and I saw who Hermione was, I thought, "Oh, how thrilling, how exciting, and how in my mind obvious," because that was sort of how I had been thinking
Oh,
about it in some ways. I know so many people of color who are also British. I know so many people who are find themselves belonging in the wizarding world, who come from all different types of backgrounds. And so I found it to be not just inclusive, but representative of how wide the wizarding world is and how wide the reach is. And I'll say for this show in particular, there are so many, like, we could go into like all the dramaturgical reasons why it makes so much sense for a person of color to play the role of Hermione. But I like to also think, like, you know, the first visual imagining of this character was with a white female identifying body, and now the story has shifted, and that means that there are so many other iterations and options for who this person can be. And I mean, for my career in general, I think, I mean, I think you'd be hard pressed to find any actress of color who has worked for a while and not played a role that was not necessarily imagined for or by them, you know, that they
yes.
I did not imagine necessarily that I would play Hermione, even though I knew that the woman who originated it was a Black woman, and I was so excited by that, and I'm still excited that the production has actually imagined and insisted that no, this character is actually a person of color. Like that's who
Yes.
she is. It's
Yes.
not just that, it's not the question of can Hermione be Black. The part of the, I think, language of our production is that Hermione is Black. And so she's a Black British woman. And so that, you know, and I think I'd be hard, I haven't met an actress who is also a person of color who has not had to navigate so many different theatrical worlds that question their belonging
Ah,
and question their existence in any kind of canon. And I think the fact that
yeah.
we actors of
Yeah.
color have continued to work as broadly as we do has very much to do with our ability to sort of not just meet that question, but make the folks who are asking it be far more responsible for themselves and their imagination of the world.
That, oh my God, you just gave me chills. I'm like, you're taking me back to my swing days and Once Upon a One More Time when
Ooh,
I was Black
yes,
Cinderella and Black Snow White. And back in the day, I
yeah,
used to work at Disneyland. Snow White was white.
yes,
Like,
yes,
it's
yeah,
you're not gonna find a Black Cinderella walking around Disneyland. And so it's definitely one of those, well, why not? These are all fairy tale characters. They're all made
yeah,
up. Why
yes.
can't Ariel be Black? Okay.
Mhm. It's
What
and
about,
it's
oh, go on,
Yo,
go on.
please, 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 go
I
ahead.
wanted to ask you about your hair journey or Hermione's hair journey, if they might be intertwined, if they're separate. Do you have any thoughts on that?
So it's very interesting. I've had a hair journey as an actor inside this character, which is that well, all there all, so many of the characters in the show, because we have so many different changes. There, all of these incredible wigs. We have an incredible wig and hair design team, and they have put a lot of thought through how each of the characters show up in the wizarding world, and also what their sort of hair might say about them and their life. And I think the design for this show and for Hermione in particular was very cognizant of how a person with textured hair might appear in a world that also has magic. And turns out it's not very different than how our hair appeals. Hermione has an incredible fro at sometimes in the show, and sometimes she has a beautiful blown out coif that is put up, but it's all textured hair. There is a part where I mean, in the book, Hermione is described as having very bushy hair and very thick hair, which any girl with textured hair is like, oh, that's me. And
That's
so there was
me.
really not that there was not much of a stretch to go on with this character, in terms of changing it from a woman with a white identifying woman with curly hair and a black identifying woman with naturally curly hair. So I would say that there is, at least particularly for the Minister of Magic identity of Hermione, there is a level of, I would say, style put to her, but it is still the essence of that woman who has very wild and natural hair is still very much a part of that character. And I love that about the design, which is there is no moment of Hermione's journey throughout the play that does not feel natural and sort of completely connected to who that person is and to what I understand natural hair to be as well.
I absolutely love that. Rachel,
Ask
where
me.
does your depth come from? Like just looking at you, I know, feeling you, and even like I'm watching you, and your video is paused every 2 seconds on my end. My Wi-Fi
Oh
is
no!
terrible. And I know, but I can hear you just fine, and I can still feel how elegant, how thoughtful, how intelligent you are, and where have you always been?
I am a deeply curious person. Hermione and I have a lot in common, I'll say.
This. I love that.
I'm a big reader. I loved school. I wasn't as much of a rule follower as she was, although she really grew out of that as the books continued. But I have such a deep well of curiosity. I have a deep, I don't know. I love talking to people. I love understanding what their histories are and where they came from. I actually came into acting. I'm a very big language person, and that's I think why I started liking plays. Is I was so interested in how people use language to make things happen, use speech, used what they understand about relationships to make the world change in some way, even if it's just their little world. I am a huge dork. I used to translate when I was in my younger days in college. Like I just my brain is interested in so many things. Like if I wasn't going
Translate
to be an
what?
actor, well, I used to translate ancient Greek, it turns out. I was so interested in ancient history and ancient societies. And for my foreign language requirement in college, I was like, oh no, I'm going to learn Greek. I have had enough Spanish. I will be learning Greek, and I will be translating the Iliad, and I will be reading it in its original thing. And I will be reading Greek plays. Like I had I was like, no, this is
What?
like the essence of drama. Like I was so there was nothing my brain did not want to soak up about theater and making work and understanding how people
What?
from like the beginning of language have been telling each other stories. And so that's just I am
What?
all over the place. I know it's so weird. It's super weird. But I also what it does give me is there are, of course, we all have to do our work to be able to enter into plays. But as you said, like I started my Broadway journey doing For Colored Girls. Um, and now I'm in Harry Potter. I had For Colored Girls and Jaja's and Harry Potter. And those are three very distinct, exceptional pieces of work that use language differently, that think about their people
Yeah.
differently, that use bodies differently. And I think my way into that is part of this curiosity and my deep sort of like uh searching and no book unturned of how do we tell stories to each other? What are the many ways that we use all of the tools in our disposal to try to reach out and connect? And it's a vocation for me in that way. I love making theater, Broadway is a gift in many ways, but it's also a job. But the art of telling stories, making theater, for me is very much a vocation.
You
are
so surprising. Who wants to translate the Odyssey?
It's actually crazy. And when I tell people that, they're like, "Oh, are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm fine."
I'm like, translate what you said. I'm taking enough Spanish.
Time in college. I wasn't just in the library, but I was in the library. Like I am obsessed with all things old and all things dusty, because I just think they have so much to say. I'm just
not
like
dusty.
I'm here for it. It's so like, I just want to know, like, what are you trying to tell me across the void? Like, epic. If there is an epic journey to be had, sign Rachel Christopher up. She's on it. She's there for it.
Well, can you give me a British accent lesson, because my friends told me that I got a really bad British accent, and back in the day,
particularly bad. It's not particularly bad. It's just oddly placed.
Where do I put it?
Oh my gosh, I need my friend Liz. Liz Hayes is our amazing voice and dialect coach. And when I tell you that we all sort of like sat around a table and listened to recordings and looked at every single vowel in all of the lines that we said, I mean, it is such a sort of like meticulous and artful endeavor, because I mean, the how we sound is so much a part of the story that we're telling. And there are lots of Brits who come to see the show. I mean, there are a few Brits in the show, actually. And so wow, we really do want to, like, there are times where I find myself on stage and I'm talking and I'm like, oh, that was not the right sound, or oh, that was not the right, like that was off. So like, and it's just like a constant sort of like recalibration. And I do envy my British castmates, because I'm like, oh, that's the thing that you're not thinking about. And it's the thing that I'm always like, oh, is it right? Is it there? Like, it's such a thing to be responsible for, because there are like, this is a real place. Like, people have deep connection to how they sound and how the people they grew up around sound. And so it is, I do sort of place a little pressure on myself to sort of make sure the things that I'm saying sound reasonable and correct.
Because great, even in the
it's not easy
British words.
It's
not. Career-wise in this industry, in the Broadway industry, I know when a Broadway actor, or when an actor is working, it can feel like, okay, this is good, but there's a lot of times for actors in between gigs, in between shows. And for you, have you ever, when you're in between gigs or when things aren't going your way, if you have doubt or if you have ever been discouraged, what keeps you going? What encourages you to?
It's such a good question. Sometimes, like, first, the thing that encourages me, which is sometimes sort of like difficult because it's not always affordable, but what encourages me is to go see other plays. It really encourages me to go, and like, if you have a friend who's working and can get you a comp, go. If you have a director that you love who is in town and you can afford a ticket, go and sit in standing room. If you can pay $20 to go to the Met and go in standing room to hear opera, go. Like, I find the most sort of like healing thing for me is to be in a space where other people are working and are trying to answer a question. And that's what work is. That's what plays are. It's like, I'm trying to name the question. And if I am in a room with people working, I feel my brain, I get to work with them. That's what a really good audience member is somebody who's working on the play with you, somebody who is like inside the play with you. And I find going to plays to be it's like an invitation to just see where the work is at and see what other people are working on and see what the next conversation you might want to have is. So that helps me. And like, it's super hard to be able to afford theater in this city, but like, if I can get a theater dollar ticket, I'm going.
Right.
The other thing I like to do is I coach a lot. And one of the like, in the times when I wasn't, when my work had slowed down, or I was, I mean, Harry Potter is an extraordinary thing. It's a long running show, but the other, you know, Jaja was an extraordinary show. It didn't run for a year, certainly,
I
and nor did
loved
for Colored
Jaja.
Girls. Oh, it was an exceptional show.
It was
and
incredible.
I mean, I think about it every day, and I talk to those people all the time. Like it was such a family that was made inside of that piece of work. But in between those things, I had to find a way, not just to sustain myself financially, but to like, how do I still feel like an artist? And a big way for me to do that was to start spending time with other artists. And so I taught for a while. I have to say, every Broadway show that I've done, this is the first Broadway show I've done where I haven't been teaching at the same time. And that's a very different experience. I know, it's a very different experience. I used to teach at Brown, and I would travel back and forth. Yes. I used to teach at Brown, and I would go and I would teach. I would work with the actors and directors there, and then I would come here to audition, and I would go to rehearsal. The first time I went on for Colored Girls, for Colored Girls, I had spent the night before teching with my Brown students for their solo performances, and then I got on a train and I came here and I performed Lady in Red, and that was my Broadway debut. My capacity and hunger for who can I work with is very loud. And so and that's not to say I haven't felt that despair. Of course, there have been times in my life where I'm not working. It happens all the time, and it's dreadful. But I find that if I can find a room where I can give something back to you, if I can be in a room with an actor who's trying to work on something, if I can find a place to teach, if I can find something that is connected to the work that I want to make, even if it's just watching it, that really helps me. That really helps me.
Wow. Rachel, what the heck, man?
Yeah.
Who on earth? You are incredible. Okay, I've got a couple more questions for you before I let you go. Oh, sorry, say again.
I said, I'm just out here. I'm just trying.
You are out here. And juggling multiple things is hard. And I never really thought about that until becoming a mom. I'm like,
yeah,
how do I focus on this as well as this? And as soon as I hear my baby crying, everything else now fades away. I'm like, you're talking about starring in Broadway shows, working at an Ivy League. That is a very high level of juggling multiple things. Mm-hmm. How can somebody like do that? How can an artist juggle multiple things and not go insane? How do you not go insane?
I think we have to the way I was able to survive was to really understand that my mom always says this. She says nothing is ever wasted. And there were, of course, times where I was like teaching and thinking, how am I going to maintain an acting career? I feel so busy, or I feel pulled in too many different directions. And I find often that if I can, it's hard. It's so hard to juggle. But I do find that sometimes if you give just a little bit of temporary focus to one thing, to allow it to really thrive, then sometimes the effort it takes to bounce that ball is just a little bit lighter, so that you can release some of that all-time focus to see what else is possible, right? But like I couldn't. There were times where I couldn't act because teaching was too much. And I had to actually dedicate myself to that, because I had to figure out A, if I was any good at it, and B, if it was something that could support me later, which is just as important as everything else being an artist. You have to eat. You have to figure out, what am I going to do when I can't be in a play, right? If I have a family, if I have to baby, how am I going to support my baby when my show closes? So just because that teaching isn't acting proper, that doesn't mean it's not as much important to my professional and acting life as being in a play is. And so once I've cultivated that skill, once I've figured out, oh, is that a thing I can do? Okay, I can bounce that ball a little lighter. Maybe I'll take fewer classes so that I can try to do this thing, right? Like, and it's not always possible. I failed many times. I stumbled many times. I had people have to pick me up many times to help me keep going in that. And I think that's part of the thing, is that we artists have to realize that juggling doesn't mean not dropping balls. Like, some of them, they're gonna bounce, they're gonna get dropped a little bit, but you have to know that the like ecosystem that you're building is one that's about sustainability. Because there's a lot about our life, the actor's life in New York, whether you're regional, there is something, I think, central to it, that if you do not carve it for yourself, it will not sustain you. You have to make it sustainable.
You have to.
And if that means you have to readjust the shelf a little bit until it feels sustainable so that you can get back out there. And, I just think, like, I feel this pressure on us as artists to be like, oh, I have to maintain consistency. I have to work. And of course, like, it's important to do that. But I now have learned to ask the question of, like, where is your life? How is it looking? How are you building a plan for yourself to be happy?
Happy. Yes,
because
I do.
Play, I love it. I loved every single one of these plays, and every single one of them ended. And so I have to, and that is, because that's what theater is. That is what theater is. Your journey will end with it, or the piece will end. And so, while we give everything into it, it's like, how am I also using these opportunities to build relationship and to build the ecosystem of what my artistic life is, so that it's not just like the play I'm in. It's like, there's a house I'm building. How do I keep my house up while I do this?
Rachel, you are speaking so deeply to my soul. It is so real as an actor, having other, like, diversity in your in your world, in your life. I didn't really learn that until the pandemic in 2020. Because if you only do one thing, and that one thing goes away, now what? Now what? Who are you? Where's your identity tied up into? But also, you said something about cultivating other, almost kind of like cultivating other forms of incomes. So when that one theater piece that you're doing ends, you can still eat. Also, having that other form of income possible or accessible to you, so that you don't have to say yes to everything. So
there is not an art. I might say this, and I hope I'm not speaking for the world, but I kind of am. There is not an artist alive who has deep respect for their art form who says yes to every offer. I don't think they exist. I think at a certain point you have to get to a point where you're like, and obviously there's like some privilege in this, right? But like, kind of, there's also, like, if we could, I reframe it as not just privilege, sacrifice. There are some things that it's like, I'm not doing that. This room isn't safe. This piece isn't safe. And what you are giving me, what you are asking me to do in order to be involved is not healthy. So I am saying no, even though I do need a job, even though I do need, and there's, like, to me, that's what part of this diversity is for, because it's not even just plays. Some of the, quote unquote day jobs or things that you are using to supplement your theater career will fall out of balance and will become, things that are not serving you anymore. And it's like that ability to begin to say no
is powerful.
Yes, and to have faith in yourself, in the thing that you are building, that not just that other opportunity will come, but that you have the wherewithal to find a new room is so important. It's not just that you have to have faith that the room exists. You have to have some sort of foundation in yourself, knowing that the way in which you seek and the questions that you ask are right for the thing you're trying to build.
I can talk to you for hours. I have to let you go. I have to let you go. I have to let you go. You're incredible. You are so incredible. You're so intelligent and kind and warm and deep. And beautiful, and I just know you're so talented, and thank you for
so
spending the time with
thankful.
me. I'm so glad I could talk to you,
course.
Rachel. You're awesome.
I'm so glad to talk to you. Tell us when you come to see the show. We'll bring you backstage and show you a good time.
Oh, I would love to. I've been wanting to know about the magic, and nobody will tell me. Did you guys sign
Oh no,
NDAs?
we won't tell you about the magic, but we'll sit you down and have you a cup of tea. How about that? We'll pour you a cup of tea.
Sounds great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
joining. You are awesome.
Thank you, darling.